What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, it's been a while. I feel like it's been a while since I've been on live stream with you guys. And so leave those comments in the chat. Leave those comments in the chat as we address them because I saw something today that I thought was hilarious. And it obviously has to do with Coach Prime. If you check the title, Coach Prime and his honesty, his openness, his transparency, his honesty, and whether we think that's a good or a bad thing. I think it's really, really cool. And I'm going to tell you guys about it. But some people may take offense to it, and I can understand it. I can see why some people wouldn't like this because it's very unconventional. It's very different from the norm. It's not something that we've seen before, but as we've known with Coach Prime, with Deion Sanders, that is like right up his alley. He continues to transcend college sports. He continues to transcend coaching. He continues to transcend college football. And it is super, super interesting to watch him and the way he moves. And so the latest thing that took place, he did an interview with the Fox Sports reporter named RJ Young. Shout out to RJ Young because I think RJ Young does a really, really good job. RJ mainly covers Power 5, high-level college football, but Deion Sanders is a talking topic for anybody. So he brings Deion Sanders on. He's doing like some Pepsi campaigning, and he's asking Coach Prime about recruiting because, you know, everybody loves to talk about Deion Sanders about recruiting. And he asked specifically about the transfer portal. Coach Prime explaining his theory, his 40-40-20 theory that we went over. And RJ goes into a question and he said, like, yo, you guys have gotten a lot of players through the transfer portal, but you've also lost a player, specifically Daylen Baldwin, to the transfer portal. Now, Coach Prime corrects him really quick and says, we don't lose anyone that we actually want. So I'm going to play for you the clip and let's talk about like what Coach had to say because it was interesting. It was something that I honestly, I've never heard a college football coach be this open and honest for good or for better or for worse when it comes to talking about a former player. Now, Daylen Baldwin is no longer on the Michigan roster from what I understand. He's, entered his name into the NFL draft. And so it's easy for Coach Prime to talk about it. But let's go ahead and play this clip. And this is fair use, because I know Fox Sports and all that stuff may want to shut us down. But it's the fair use going on right here. I'm going to probably try to make it small, just so we don't run into any issues. But here's Coach Prime speaking with RJ Young on his number one ranked show. Let's take a listen.
On the portal, Coach, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is you do a great job of recruiting out of it, but you also lost Daylen Baldwin to it, who ends up playing in Michigan. They make the college football playoff, win the Big Ten.
We didn't lose Daylen Baldwin. We don't lose nothing we want.
Pardon me.
Okay.
He just
so that was that right there. That was that. I knew this was about to get real spicy when Coach said that. When he was like, "Yo, we don't lose nothing we want," I'm like, "Oh, he's about to get real spicy," and he sure enough did. Let's continue on.
He decided.
Yes,
that was what he was going to do. That's my bad. My fault.
I'm gonna get naked with you and tell you what it really was. Sorry for my speech. Daylen told us after the spring that he wanted to turn pro after the fall season. We said, cool. So business-wise, we cut his full scholarship to half because he didn't need a full because he wasn't going to be there after December. He didn't understand the logic of that and got sensitive. So, okay, I'm going to leave. We said, cool. Because we knew what we had coming. we knew what we had coming in, and some things may not fit. You got to understand, you never heard of Daylen Baldwin until the spring. No one ever heard of him until the spring. So we have developed him in that aspect.
I got to pause there. You have never heard of Daylen Baldwin before the spring. Nobody had ever heard of Daylen Baldwin before the spring. This is out of his former coach's mouth. Let's continue on.
And we're happy and elated that instead of us going to a Power 5 trying to poach from them, they came to us. That shows the magnitude of your program. So that was a blessing as well. But we were okay. I think we were okay.
That's the end of it. Oh my goodness. Woo! Yo, I told y'all when he came on there and said, we didn't lose Daylen Baldwin. And you had never heard of Daylen Baldwin. Okay, let's look at it. John Johnson, that was disrespectful. And that's the thing. Like, that was real spicy. So Alan Johnson said, sheesh, oh my. Like, that was real spicy. Like, real spicy. Like, that, I've never, like, somebody correct me in the chat, in the comments, please. Have y'all ever heard a coach say that before? Like, have you guys ever heard a coach, whether it was former player, current player, in the NFL, in the draft, have you ever heard of, you had never heard of it. I gotta run that clip back, man. Hold on, man. Hold on, man. Hold on, because that was super spicy. Like, that was, oh my, let's run this back. So this is Coach Prime speaking about Daylen Baldwin, the former wide receiver at JSU. This is what Coach Prime had to say about Daylen Baldwin, who transferred from Jackson State to Michigan after having a really good spring season at Jackson State. Let's take a listen.
We knew what we had coming in, and some things may not fit. You got to understand, you never heard of Daylen Baldwin until the spring. No one ever heard of him until the spring. So we helped develop him in that aspect.
Oh my God. Yo, that, like, that is, now some of you guys calling it disrespectful, some of you calling it uncalled for. Like, I almost can't disagree with you. Hold on, let's look at the, John says he didn't have to go there. I mean, I understand that. Someone also said, Prime the truth. And that's, see, this is what I respect about Deion Sanders. This is what I respect about Coach Prime. He's 100% on. This is what us as fans, as media members, as people who look for this kind of information, this is what we want. This is the type of information that we beg for. We pray and ask and plead and try to pull teeth when we're asking players, coaches, whoever. Give us the truth. Tell us what we want to hear. Like, don't tell us what we want to hear. Tell us the truth. Tell us, we want a peek in what's happening behind doors. And this is what Coach Prime did in this interview with RJ Young, specifically talking about Daylen Baldwin. He said, we told Daylen told us he wanted to go pro after the fall season. So we gave him a half scholarship that will only cover the first semester at Jackson State in the fall of 21. He says he got sensitive, used words, he used our dialect, he used our vernacular, he used the words that we use. He got sensitive and said he wanted to bounce. And I said, cool, go ahead and bounce, because we know what we had coming in. We understand they might not have known they were getting Travis at the time, but they know they could probably had a good chance. They probably didn't know they were getting, because Daylen transferred in the summer, like sometime in the summer after the spring season. They probably didn't know that they were going to get, Kevin Coleman at the time, but they had a good inkling that they were going to get some playmakers, some ball players at that position. So go ahead is basically what he's saying. And he said, you had never heard, and the thing is, he's not lying. He is not lying. Please, someone, Jackson State fan, Morgan State fan, because Daylen had transferred from Morgan State to Jackson State. Did you guys know of Daylen Baldwin before the spring of 2021? I didn't. I'm going to be 100% honest. I had never heard of Daylen Baldwin a day in my freaking life before the spring of 2021. And that's just a fact. That is just a fact. And so he was, like as Reese says, Prime the truth. Prime was telling you the truth. And that's just is what it is. Let's look. It's interesting. I don't know. Prime kind of risky with the analogy. These PWIs looking for anyway. No, but see, that's the thing, Bam. That is true. So what you're saying is true. But what makes Prime stand out is that right now, he's impenetrable. Because he is so different, because he is so authentic, there's nothing a PWI can say about him that he's not already saying in public. Like, even with the Shamar tweet, we were like, yo, he messed up. And I was going to speak about that. With the Shamar, when he tweeted directly at Shamar Stewart, it was like, yo, I had never seen that before. Probably because it was illegal, but it's him. Like, these are the things that he does. Doing a podcast with Barstool every week. being in all these Super Bowl commercials, doing all this stuff with Pepsi and Oikos and all these different, Powerade and all these different brands. That is the Aflac or whatever. That is dope. That is really, really cool. And that is appealing to young men. It's like, yo, my coach getting deals like that. What you think I can get if I'm a Travis Hunter, if I'm a Kevin Coleman, if I'm a Shedeur Sanders? Now, granted, it helps that his last name is Sanders, but still, like, it's really cool. It says all coach did was tell the truth, and everyone is so used to coaches not. Abso-freaking-lutely, Gregory. Absolutely. We've like this level of transparency. I've never seen a football coach at any level speak like this. You're like, yo, we helped develop Daylen Baldwin. He didn't say we made him, but we helped develop him, and you never heard of him before the spring season. It was uncalled for. He could have handled it better. I get what you're saying. I can see that. Because Daylen at the end of the day is a kid. But he didn't say anything disrespectful about Daylen. At least I didn't think so. He just said you had never heard of him, which is a fact. So, he didn't sugarcoat it. He kept it 100%. At least, exactly, Juwan. And that's what we always ask for as media members, as fans. We want to know what's happening inside the program. We want you to say what you're not supposed to say. And that's what Deion Sanders does. Whether it's on Instagram, whether it's tweeting at a recruit when you're not supposed to. He does the things that's pretty cool, man. That's dope. It's Coach Prime, he don't hold back. He stand on all 10 toes, even when one of them feet is bad. Coach spoke the truth. Absolutely, man. Abso-freaking-lutely, man. I just like, yo, it is so dope to have a transparent coach. It is like in the world of football, we typically get the Russell Wilson type answer. And that's no disrespect to Russell Wilson, but we typically get, we go team, man. We got to get the team going, and we got to improve on all sides of the ball. When, like, say if you get, beat 42-45, and you had in the quarterback and your team had no turnovers, you're scoring a bunch of touchdowns, but your defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And you're like, and you get the quarterback's like, yo, man, we could have scored on a different opportunity. We could have, like, nah, man, our defense was trash. Like, Coach Prime is one of them coaches is like, yo, our defense sucked today. Our offense scored every time we touched the ball, but the other team didn't punt. So that was our fault that our defense didn't. We need some leaders to step up. And he's the type of dude to come out and say something. He's not going to give you that quarterback type answer. It says Baldwin showed love to Deion on Twitter. Oh, I had to see it because it was fun. I just thought that answer was pretty funny. Said Prime is the Bitcoin of college football. Yeah, and Bitcoin's taking over. If you that's a good analogy, man. And Bitcoin is definitely taking over. It says I knew Baldwin left JSU because they had better receivers coming in. And that's interesting because he ends up at a program that goes to college football playoff. And he started multiple games. Now, he didn't have the best statistical season at Michigan. He didn't cross 1,000 yards, anything like that. But he started a few games. He got to go to a team that made the playoff. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how if he helped his draft stock at all. I don't know if any of that took place. But that was really, really interesting to see that. And I said, I love Prime and JSU, but I didn't like the way he handled it. These are our children, and if Saban talked about our kids like that, we would get it to more kids in this. And see, and that's why this is an interesting talking point, Jones. This is why it's an interesting talking point because Saban, Dabo, Kirby Smart, none of those guys are talking like this. But see, Coach Prime has never held his tongue for anyone. And that's why it's interesting. I think that actually lures kids because they know their coach is going to shoot them straight, both in the recruiting, on the couch and recruiting, and when you get to college. Now, we hear all the time from former, current, whatever players say, hey, this ain't the same coach that was on your couch down in Florida, right? Like this coach a lot different. He talking to you a whole lot different than he was when he came and visited you, your mom and your pops, and y'all was going out to eat and y'all was taking all the pictures on the little spinny 360 camera and doing all that. Like this is a different dude, ain't it? Like we hear that all the time. But see, with Deion Sanders, one thing that looks very, at least from the outside, now I'm not inside on the program, but from the outside looking in, it's like, yo, it looks like he shoots it straight to all his players during the recruiting process, while you're a current player, and even after you leave. He shoots it to you 100% straight. He's 100% authentic. At least that's what it looks like to me. Now, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like. And in this Daylen Baldwin situation, it looks like it was the same thing. He was like, yo, we told him, okay, you're only going to be here for this fall semester because in the spring gonna turn pro. There's no need to give you a full scholarship. You got to remember, FCS teams play with 63 scholarships. This is not FBS with 85. So that means every scholarship counts. So if you only have 63 scholarships, you got to stretch those 63 as far as possible. And so if Coach Prime's got a guy that's telling him he's going to leave in the spring to go to the league, then by all means, you ain't going to get a full, you ain't going to get a spring scholarship. You're going to get your scholarship for the fall. You're going to declare it. You're going to have hopefully you have a great season where you improve your draft stock and you declare for the draft after the season. Because the SWAC season, as we all know, the Celebration Bowl is played in December. So that means after December, your season over. The college football playoff and stuff is played in the new year. But as far after December, for HBCUs, for FCS, for SWAC, your season over. If you make it to the Celebration Bowl was played on December what this year? It was December something. It was in December. So that I can understand. That I don't know, man. Let me look at some of your it says Saban is very straightforward and always caught losing it on players. Everybody cool with that. Yeah, he loses it on the sideline. But when he talks about players, or when he talks about, like, when he goes to meet with media, he's not very candid with media. He actually just went off on media. Y'all remember when the young lady on the sideline asked Saban about Tua and Jalen Hurts and which one? Who was that? It was the lady. She used to work for ESPN. Now she works for NBC. She was like, yo, which coach? And like, I'm not going to do it, so quit asking. He snapped on her. Dang, I can't even think of her name. She was really good. She's really good, too. But like that, you know what I mean? Like, he's not very authentic, whereas Prime would have probably been like, yo, we're going to try it out Tua. If he's weak, we're going to play out Jalen Hurts. We're going to roll with the hot hand. Whereas Saban kind of just like, nah. He's not very open with the media. He's not very open at all. Let's see. He says he'll tell you he shoots it straight. Absolutely. And that's all you can ask for. Prime was just saying JSU put him in the spotlight for the little time he's with JSU. What is disrespect? I mean, I see why people might think it's disrespectful because it's almost as like saying, I'm with you. Let me make that clear. I'm with you. I don't see it as disrespectful. Like, I just see it as him telling the truth. Let's be honest. Someone, like I said in the chat, Maria Taylor, by the way, shout out to Kendrick. Thank you for telling me, Kendrick. Maria Taylor. Before the spring of 2021, I had never heard of Daylen Baldwin. I had never, like, I'm just be honest. I had never heard. He had transferred. Some of y'all might not even know he transferred from Morgan State. So he had transferred once, and going to Michigan was his third school in 3 years. Never heard of Daylen Baldwin. So when he gets to Jackson State and he gets with Coach Prime, he has a really good year. He was their best receiver during the spring. And I was like, yo, Daylen Baldwin is going to be a baller for them come fall. But then, of course, he entered his name in the transfer portal. And then he heads to Michigan, where he had he played, but he didn't have the season that he had at Jackson State. Like Jackson State during the spring and only, 5 spring games, he had a game where he had 169 receiving yards. At Michigan in the fall of 21, he had 256 receiving yards total. Now think about what I'm saying. At Jackson State, he had a game where he had 136 receiving yards. The game against Mississippi Valley. I said 169. 136 receiving yards. That was in one game. He had 136 receiving yards at Jackson State in March of 2021. At Michigan, his career high was 69, and he only had 256 yards total the whole year. I mean, that's just the truth. That's not poo-pooing on the kid. That's not hating on the kid. That's not doing nothing. That's just laying the facts out as they are. So, that just is what it is. I'm going to say Grambling versus Norfolk State in the Celebration Bowl. I don't know. I love what Coach Hugh was doing at Grambling, by the way. Said, how was what he said disrespectful? He didn't undermine his talent. Nope. I didn't think the tours, I didn't think some are too sensitive. Yeah, all he said was, I guess the disrespectful part would be, nobody had heard of him before Jackson State, and he called him sensitive. He did say he got sensitive, which is true in a lot of cases with a lot of people. People get, like you said, Mona Lisa, People get sensitive. That's what happens. Like, people do be acting sensitive. Some of y'all act sensitive in my comments. Like, it's just the truth. Like, that's what happens. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, by the way. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. He said you can't expect a full scholarship if you leave in 3 months. I mean, that, like, to me, that scholarship gonna cover that fall season. But the fall season's over. The football season's over in December. By January, you're training for the draft, right? Right. Like, I don't know. Did I miss something? Dooley time. Hey, Coach Dooley. Hey, Coach Dooley's got some. I think that offense down at Southern can make some noise. He got his Jason Greathouse guy flipped back from Grambling, but a lot of his other players got stolen by Grambling. Coach Hughes on some bully stuff, so we'll see what happens. That's he's not saying I made you who you are. He's saying I developed you to become a better place at your position, but you're close to go something else. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know. It's funny, man. It's funny because, like I said, the authenticity, the transparency of Coach Prime is none like anything we've ever seen. We saw him tweet. You guys remember the famous tweetgate that went on with Shamar Stewart when he tweeted at Shamar Stewart, and we were on live together, all of us, and I was like, yo, I've never seen this before. This is totally different. And he deleted it while we were on live. Like, that happened. You saw him after Shamar signs. Now, this is not saying that he was directing this towards Shamar. It just kind of looked like he was. When Shamar signed with Texas A&M over Jackson State, and Harold Perkins signed with LSU over Jackson State. And this is not, specifically the Shamar one. It's not saying he was talking about Shamar, but when Coach Prime puts up that tweet, or puts up that Instagram caption when he was like, I can't pay for players, or I can't afford for some players. That's very, very specific. It looked like you're talking about somebody, man. You're talking about somebody you missed out on that you might have thought you had in the bag. You thought you had somebody in the bag, but the transparency, hey, this is how it is. This is the way it is. I mess with that so heavy, bro. Like, I think that is so dope. Like, I wish every coach in the SWAC was like that. I wish every coach in college football was like that. When Connell Maynard told Prime to get him one of the scooters, right? When Alabama A&M won the SWAC championship and Connell Maynard took some shots at Prime, and he was like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, tell Deion to send me one of them scooters. And then Prime and JSU goes out there and hangs 60 on Alabama A&M on their homecoming, 61 points. I think it was 61-15. He hangs 60 on them, and he comes out there on his scooter and recorded it and said, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, huh? Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, huh? And when Alabama State, when they beat JSU during the spring and they put Coach Prime, I loved it. I was like, yo, I'm here for all the smoke. They put Coach Prime with his Jerry curl on the phone. They put him on the Jumbotron at their home field. And then Prime and them handle business. And first Prime took offense to it. He was like, yo, they made it about me and not the game. And then they handle business against everybody else in the SWAC. And he was like, yeah, that get back is real. You know what I'm saying? That get back is real. Like, you gotta think that is dope. You gotta respect that. Cause that makes all of this stuff fun. That makes it fun to talk about. That makes it fun to read about. That makes it fun to watch. That, like, knowing that these things are taking place, that makes this stuff fun, man. When these guys give us quotes or headlines to talk about, scooter delivered. Yeah, they gave him one. They gave him the pink scooter. Yeah. They gave him the pink scooter. And Prime signed it. Come on, y'all. But the beauty behind it, what also makes it more fun is when the team, because it's twofold. If Prime and Jackson State goes out there and handles business, it's like vintage Deion Sanders, because he would do these things when he was a professional at the NFL level, and he'd deliver and then have an after party after it. But when the other teams, like a South Carolina State, gets the chance to beat JSU, or gets the chance to beat Deion Sanders, and gets the chance to beat Jackson State. They get to put his, like Alabama State, get to put his face on the Jumbotron. They get to do the primetime dance in the end zone as they're beating JSU 30-17. They're the ones that get to, Jacoby Durant and all those guys get the ones after being disrespected, like when they said they went to the mall in Atlanta, and folks like, oh, y'all the team that's playing JSU. I don't know y'all names, but y'all the team that JSU about to beat. Then you get to, that gets you up. That makes this game your Super Bowl. That makes this game bigger and better. It makes it more fun. And you're going to play harder. And you want to win that much more. Not to say you never wanted to win against everybody else, but you want to win that much more. And when you do win, it makes it that much sweeter. That is why this is fun. That is why when he puts out these headlines and people are bashing him or people are praising him, it don't matter. We're all talking. We all so it's a win-win. There's no way you can lose. There's no way when this is taking place. There's no way. And by you, I mean the conference. By you, I mean the fans. By you, I mean the commentators, the YouTubers, the bloggers, the whatever, the media members. No one can lose because it's a 24-hour cycle that keeps us all entertained. And that's all we can ask for. That is literally all we can ask for. It says, even with the loss to South Carolina State, Coach Prime addressed the team and said they got their tails whooped. Yes, but it gave even more so, because Coach Prime was honest about that, but it gave South Carolina State a chance to rub it in a little bit. Don't it? Ain't a little fun because in Jackson State, if you're South Carolina State or if you're Alcorn or if you're Alabama A&M or whatever, you see all the cameras around Jackson State. You see all the coverage that they get. You see that they get all the views on YouTube and all this stuff. You see all the talking heads talk about them all the time. You see the rappers in their locker room, the Gillian Wallows, the NFL legends on their sideline. And so when you beat them, you're like, yo, we don't got to have all that to go and beat them. We don't got to have Young Dolph in our locker room or Gillian Wallow on our sidelines or Troy Aikman coming to our games or Michael Irvin coming to our football camps. We just go out there and handle business. And when we beat them, we get to celebrate like they did. We get to put the Jackson State pack in the air or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that makes it entertaining because at the end of the day, football is a sport, man. Football is a game. Football is about entertainment. It's about fun. It's about wins and losses. Don't get it twisted. But it is about fun, man. And Coach Prime has brought a level of fun to the JSU program, to the SWAC, to black college football, period. And when he does stuff like this, like calling out Daylen Baldwin, like he just called bro out and saying you didn't know about him before the spring season at Jackson State, it's fun. It is fun. It is fun. Let's see. It says, when Deion said we knew what we had coming in was disrespectful. That was Deion saying we don't give if you leave, it may be truthful, but it doesn't have to be said. I don't know, John. I don't know. Why not? Why not? Why don't it have to be said? If he feels that way, why don't it have to be said? I mean, it doesn't have to be said, of course, but why should he say it? This is how he felt. He said, like, yo, we don't care if you leave. And he said that. He implied it. He said it. He said, we know what we had coming in. We didn't care what you, we know we had coming in. We know what we had that wasn't eligible. We know all of these things. So they didn't care if he left. And they kind of proved it because the receiving core was really good last year. You bring in a guy like a Malachi Wideman who leads the SWAC in touchdowns. You bring in a guy like Quay Davis, who I'm hearing from all reports is just lighting it up at practice. And then you go out and get a Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter the next class. So he didn't care. It didn't seem to bother him because they still went 8-0 in the SWAC. They still won the SWAC East. They still won the SWAC championship, and they still punched the ticket to the Celebration Bowl. All without Daylen Baldwin. So he was kind of right. He was very much right. Like, he wasn't kind of right. He was very much right. What'd you say? You can say the love is different for players, for black players at HBCUs. Then say this. I don't know. The love is different. The love is different because once again, Coach Prime, Jones, I don't know if you're saying this in like a bad thing, but the love is different because one, Daylen Baldwin is no longer a college athlete. Coach Prime didn't say this about an active college athlete. He said this about a former JSU player. He said this about a guy who transferred out of the program. And he just told the story. He told it with full transparency. He just said, yo, dude told us he wanted to go pro. We cut a scholarship in half that were only covered one semester. He got sensitive and decided to dip. That is fine. More power to him. But you had never heard of Daylen Baldwin before us, before that spring. We helped develop him, and so much so that a Power 5 school saw he was talented enough to come play for them, and they plucked him. It wasn't like he transferred from JSU to some D2 school. He transferred from JSU to Big Ten country, to Michigan, to a top 4 team in the country, to a team that just made the college football playoff, to a team that knocked off Ohio State, to a team that won 11, 12 games, or however many games they won, to the Big Ten champions, Michigan Wolverines. That's who he transferred to. I mean, that sounds like a good. He got in on a good end of the deal. Sound like Daylen Baldwin got a good end of the deal. He said Coach Prime will not hold his tongue, bro. He said he's not going to lie for anybody, and he's proven it. He is proving it. Says, but when FSU trashed Prime after he was not a college athlete, no. So it's different, Jones. What Florida State did, they was burning his jersey. They was burning his jersey and telling him he can't come back to Tallahassee. That ain't what Deion did. Deion didn't do that to Daylen Baldwin. He just said you had never heard of him. And we had got guys that could replace him. He didn't burn his jersey. He didn't curse him out. He just told the truth. What Florida State did was totally different. I completely disagree with that one. I wouldn't say he didn't care. He just understands this is a business. You can't keep someone who wants to go because he was leaving after the semester. Shout out to Coach, man. Coach, you're right. Like that's it. Like that's literally it. That's literally it. What Florida State did to Deion and their fans is completely different than what Coach Prime just did to Daylen Baldwin. And I'm going to run the clip again, too. For those of you joining in, we started out talking about Coach Prime's transparency, his honesty. And he spoke honestly and candidly about Daylen Baldwin leaving JSU for Michigan. I'm going to run that clip again because we're adding some more people. Let me read some of your comments. Monty Weidman had no off-the-field issues. He was a part of the fight with I don't know that I'll let. See, I left FSU for JSU. The irony was refreshing. That's actually funny. That's actually really funny. Shout out to White Mike Mack. It says FSU is D2 until I don't know about that. I ain't gonna disrespect the Tallahassee Seminoles in a minute. Because they're gonna come calling for Coach Prime in like a year or two. Like we do know that. We do know that call. Deion Sanders win another SWAC title or two. He wins a Celebration Bowl or two. We know the Seminoles are gonna be calling because Norvell ain't it. Can we keep it a bean? Norvell ain't it. They gave him a contract extension, but these universities fire these coaches and pay these buyouts. They work out negotiations. Let Prime win another SWAC championship. Let Prime go and win a Celebration Bowl. Florida State gonna be calling in the next year or two. That's just point blank. Period. It says Coach Prime is not going to let the narrative be that JSU lost a recruit to a big program. It's just setting the record straight. And you see the way he corrected RJ. RJ was real apologetic, but he was like, no, it's not that. It's not that you got it wrong. It's just that's what it looks like. But I'm going to let you know that ain't what it was. Man, let's go ahead and run that clip one more time. Once again, this is JeffLightsyJr. with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let's run that clip in its entirety. So this is Coach Prime speaking with RJ Young of Fox Sports. RJ Young has a show called The Number One Ranked Show. He talks college football, mainly the Power Fives, all day, every day. Let's take a look at this one more time. So this is Coach Prime speaking with RJ Young about his recruiting style and specifically about Daylen Baldwin transferring to Michigan. Let's take a listen.
On the portal, Coach, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is you do a great job of recruiting out of it, but you also lost Daylen Baldwin to it, who ends up playing in Michigan. They make the college football playoff, win the Big Ten.
We didn't lose Daylen Baldwin. We don't lose nothing we want.
That part is every time he says it, I feel it in my chest, y'all. I feel that in my chest, y'all. Let's keep going.
Okay.
He decided.
Yes,
that was what he was going to do. That's my bad. My fault.
I'm gonna get naked with you and tell you what it really was. Sorry for my speech. Daylen told us after the spring that he wanted to turn pro after the fall season. We said, cool. So business-wise, we cut his full scholarship to half because he didn't need a full because he wasn't going to be there after December. He didn't understand the logic of that and got sensitive.
That's where some people say the disrespect came in a little bit. I beg to differ, but it is what it is. Let's keep moving.
So, okay, I'm going to leave. We said, cool. Because we knew what we had coming. We knew what we had coming in, and some things may not fit. You got to understand, you never heard of Daylen Baldwin until the spring. No one ever heard of him until the spring. So we helped develop him in that aspect, and we're happy and elated that instead of us going to a Power 5 trying to porch from them, they came to us. That shows the magnitude of your program. So that was a blessing as well.
Now that is a point. The Power 5s coming snagging a player from your program is pretty big, especially at where Jackson State was at that time.
But we were okay. I think we were okay.
The big smile at the end and that is dope, man. Shout out to Lisa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, get the likes up, hit that thumbs up button, Shout out to John for doing the same thing. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, man, telling dude, and I think we got the call lines working, man. I think you can call into the show, man. Let me go ahead and throw that. If you want to call, if you want to chat it up, you can call at 502-365-5813, 502-365-5813 if you want to do that. If not, we'll end it here in a bit. But that just tells you Daylen Baldwin, good player. Was a good player when we came here. We helped develop him. We helped him become what he ended up becoming. And you know what I'm saying? It didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? He decided to, let me go ahead and let me pull this up really quick just in case we get any calls. Let me share that just in case we get any calls. But yeah, no, he said JSU's America's team. That's what it's starting to turn into. And that's the thing. Coach Prime played for, and it's the thing, he played for some of the biggest brands in the NFL. Two of the biggest brands in the NFL. He played for the Dallas Cowboys, which is the biggest brand in all of sports. And he played for the San Francisco 49ers, which is one of the top 3, top 5 biggest brands in all of football. He understands what it's like to build a brand. He knows Jerry Jones, and nobody has built a brand better than the Cowboys in all of sports. And so doing these media, and that's the thing, doing these media appearances, doing these things, being open and honest and candid, right or wrong, whether people agree with it or different. Who else does that in football? Jerry Jones does that. And that's part of the allure, part of the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are one of the biggest brands in all of football, because Jerry Jones is 100% authentic, right or wrong. It doesn't matter if he's right or wrong or indifferent or whatever. That man says what's on his mind. Last week he was talking about how Dan Quinn could potentially replace Mike McCarthy. People were like, yo, Jerry, what the hell are you doing? What are you saying this? But that keeps the Cowboys in the news cycle. That keeps you, me, him, her, she, him, whatever, talking about the Dallas Cowboys 24/7. Because as soon as he said that, that's going to be the first thing on SportsCenter, on First Take. That's going to be the first thing on Undisputed. It's going to be the first thing on Colin Cowherd's show. That's going to be the first thing on all the bloggers that talk about football. And that's what Deion Sanders is doing with JSU. He's doing the exact same thing. He tells us the stuff that most coaches won't. He tells us the stuff that we appreciate. He tells us the stuff that is pretty dope. And we get to talk about it. We get to dissect it. We get to say, man, coach, that was disrespectful. Or we get to say, man, coach, that was pretty, that was pretty cool. Or man, coach, that was golly, why would you do that? And these are things that other coaches don't provide you with. They don't provide you with this kind of information. They don't provide you with this kind of insight to their organization. They don't provide you with this kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't provide you with these kind of quotes, these kind of headlines, these kind of things that are going on inside the program. They don't. They just simply don't. And that's why you got to respect it. That's why you got to love it with Coach Prime, man. Like, it is so, so dope, man. Super, super dope to hear him be this transparent about his organization, about his program. It's quality content is why I call it. High quality content, man. High quality content. Someone said, don't put the America's team crap on us. Ain't nothing to, hey, y'all just want to, y'all had it them because y'all just want a SWAC championship. Cowboys ain't won an NFC championship in I don't know how long. So, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, and when Prime was with Dallas is when they was winning Super Bowls. So, you know, Prime know a thing or two about winning. He won one in San Francisco. He won one in Dallas. So, you know, maybe that ain't a bad label. Maybe y'all the Cowboys of the 90s. Now, you're going to have to get over the Celebration Bowl hump and Celebration Bowl thumping that you took South Carolina State. But maybe you can be the Cowboys of the 90s, man. It says the president of JSU was just on Sway in the Morning. That keeps JSU in the media cycle. And do you think, so like let's be honest, Sway in the Morning, they've been doing radio for a long time. Sway is, shout out to Sway. He's been doing radio for a long time. Had you ever seen the president of JSU on there before? Had you ever seen the president of Jackson State on Sway in the Morning before Deion Sanders got to school? Deion Sanders became the head coach. Before Deion Sanders was selling out Celebration Bowls and getting 2.5 million people watching on TV and breaking FCS attendance records with over 40,000 people in the stands, and it will be probably over 50,000 people in the stands this year. Before you were getting number one rated recruits in the country, number one player in the state of Missouri, Kevin Coleman, Travis Hunter, number one player in the country. I had never seen the president of JSU on anywhere before Deion Sanders got there. So I'm just so we trying to be Jerry Jones, the guys that won't let. No, that's not what we're getting at. That's not what we're saying. We're saying the marketing aspect. We're not calling Deion Sanders Jerry Jones the man. We know he ain't Jerry Jones, a 70, 80-year-old white man. No, we're not saying that. But Jerry Jones knows how to market the hell out of his team. He knows how to get the most out of every single marketing dollar in the country. He knows how Jerry Jones and the Cowboys get the most free publicity, free marketing out of any team in the world. There's no team in the world that gets more free marketing than the Cowboys. And so who gets the most free marketing in college football right now? Jackson State. Jackson State gets the most free, non-paid for marketing in the country. They're right up there with any college football program. Right up there. Because the thing about I was listening to a radio host and they were talking about how Alabama's dominant. Alabama is a dominant program. Georgia is a dominant program. They win a bunch of games, but they're not sexy. They're not flashy. They're not fun. They're not teams we don't come on, even college football people that cover the SEC and stuff. They talk about Alabama because they win all the time, but Alabama ain't doing nothing that's fun and sexy and cool. The most fun and cool that Alabama did was when Bryce Young got $1 million before he ever played a game. That was pretty headline grabbing. But besides that, they just go out and they win and they do what they're supposed to. And Nick Saban might chew out a reporter every once in a while, but that's about it. They don't do anything that's headline grabbing, which is good. That's how most organizations, college football organizations, want to be. They want to be straight and narrow. They want to go out there. They want to handle their business. They want to win without making any headlines. Coach Prime invites all headlines. He goes out there and wants people to come and see his program. It wants people to come to JSU. It wants folks to have their cameras. He's going on a podcast, blogs, ESPN, Fox Sports, everywhere. He wants the J-hat everywhere. Alabama ain't looking for that. They're not sexy. Georgia not looking for that. They're not looking for the cameras and the spotlight. Coach Prime has a media crew that follows him 24/7. He even got dudes like the pregame show to follow him. You got 1400 Club, the Tiger Talk that keeps up with them all the time. You got dudes like me to talk about him all the time. He loves all of that, every aspect of that. He messes with, he loves that stuff, man. So no, we're not calling him Jerry Jones, but not letting players kneel for the anthem. No, to hell with that. Like, no, we're not saying that dumb stuff. No, but we're saying Jerry Jones is a marketing wizard. They talk about the Cowboys every single day on FS1, every single day on SportsCenter, every single day on First Take. And now in this HBCU space, we're getting to the point where we could pretty much talk about Jackson State every single day. We can't say the same about every other program. We can't say the same about Alcorn. We can't say the same about Southern. We can't say the same about Prairie View. We can't say the same about Texas Southern. Like that's just a fact. People get on me. It's like, why are you always talking Jackson State and Grambling? Why are you always talking Jackson State and Grambling? Why are you always doing that? It's because they make the headlines. They do the sexy stuff. They do the cool stuff. Hugh Jackson is on TV. He's doing this. He's doing that. Coach Prime is airing it out about a former player. Like, that's why. That's just the truth. All right, guys, man. I gotta get out of here, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Man, it says Prime won't let the game plan. Like, yeah, nah, he's not gonna do that. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Man, my dad's calling me. I'm supposed to get out of here and have lunch with him. So hit that thumbs up button, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to subscribe and join the channel, shout out to the folks that have subscribed and joined the channel. We have some dope perks coming along, especially during the season. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button and join the channel. My name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss Channel. Subscribe to the Black Boss Channel and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's why I talk about a lot of stuff. You'll see a lot of this stuff first. I posted that clip of Coach Prime with RJ Young on Twitter first. You'll see a lot of this stuff first on Twitter. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys, and we will see you next time. Peace.